So this video is a top 10 video for my favorite This Is Us episodes. And I just wanted to post a quick warning that for some reason I decided it would be a good idea to chew gum when I recorded this video. This is your trigger warning if me chewing gum and smacking is going to bother you. But I wanted to post the video anyway because I thought I looked really cute. So enjoy the video.
Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. So this week we got a bomb dropped on us because we found out that there were no new episodes of This Is Us. And there will not be a new episode of This Is Us until February 2nd when we finally find out what has happened with Kevin on his way back from Toronto on his way to Madison. So before we get started with this particular video, do me a favor and hit subscribe down below because I will keep you up to date with This Is Us when it returns. But I wanted to do something a little bit different today. So hopefully you guys settle down and collect yourselves and have a woosah moment as we take a ride down memory lane with This Is Us, because I'm going to give you my top 10 This Is Us episodes. Now, before we get started, this is just my top 10. I'm not saying this has to be your top 10, but I would love to know if you agree with me down below. And this is not going to be in any particular order. The other thing is, I'm not counting anything from season 5 as of yet. And despite how much I really enjoyed the birth mother episode, and there were moments of it that I thought were very beautiful, because we haven't gotten a chance to know Laurel's character in the way that we got to know William's character prior to the Memphis episode, while that episode was beautiful and the ending was amazing, it wasn't as satisfactory for me or as satisfying for me. So it's not going to make my list. And nothing really else from this season really makes my top 10. That does not mean I hate the show. Slow down. Don't come at me with your pitchforks and everything and guns blazing. But just nothing from this season is in my top 10. That being said, I mean, This Is Us. Every episode is rewatchable. The first episode on my top 10 list is the pilot episode. Do you remember where you were when you watched the pilot? Do you remember seeing all of the little teasers for the show and what got you watching the show? I know for me, I started watching the show for two reasons. One, it felt very Parenthood-ish, and I think that's kind of how they were billing it, was very similar to Parenthood, and I loved Parenthood, y'all. I came to Parenthood late. I don't even think I saw Parenthood until the second to last season, and it was on Netflix, and I watched it, and then I watched the last episode, or the last season. But I love Parenthood. That's the first thing that brought me here. The second thing that brought me here was Sterling K. Brown. So where are all my Army Wife fans at? Hey y'all. Hey Army Wife fans. So if you came along from Army Wives, Sterling K. Brown is just that guy. And even in movies where he plays like bad characters or not great characters, I think he does a pretty decent job. Just nothing will be cemented as him in Army Wives and him as This Is Us. I think those two shows, he carried a lot of the show. And even with Army Wives, when it got to the point where it felt a little soap opera-ish, there we go. He brought that weight, that gravity, the gravitas that you want. So that was a great episode. We didn't know what was going on. We didn't know how these four people were going to be connected. And then the reveal that like Jack and Rebecca were in the past, and you know the big three were together in the present, and that they were triplets, and that this was a whole family. That was just such a good reveal. That was just such a classic episode. I love any good show that it leaves me with a mystery. I love it. I love that element of it. And so that just was a really good episode. Um, it was just so good. Now, pause for a second. That's not to say I was not here for Mandy and Milo, especially. I was a Heroes fan. That actually might be a good show for me to go back and watch. So if you were an OG Heroes fan and you would love for me to go back and review old episodes of Heroes, do me a favor, and I'm gonna put a little poll right here if you're interested in that. That might be something to come with later. And then Mandy, I was back in the day with Mandy and Candy, back in the day with Walk to Remember, back in the day with Saved, back in the day with Tangled. I've been here for Mandy, so that I'm not sleeping on Mandy, I'm not sleeping on Milo, but just it was Sterling K. Brown's milkshake that brought me to the yard. We're gonna leave it at that. All right, so the next episode for me, and again, this is not my hierarchy because this might be my favorite episode of the whole show, is Memphis. Y'all, Ron Cephas Jones deserved every bit of every accolade he got off of that episode. That episode was well written. It was well acted. The cinematography was beautiful. The music was beautiful. It was just a complete symmetry of just everything. My eyes were moist from beginning to end. And that scene where he's like starting to go, oh my gosh, did y'all ugly cry? Because I ugly cried, like snotted everything. Okay, so then was what now? Following, William's death in Memphis, what now reaches my top 10, not because anything super climactic happened, but it was one of the episodes. We still get tinges of William now and then, but it was one of the last episodes where we were going to get like layers of William. But this is where we got to see Susan Kelechi Watson have her moment, her first real moment, because she always comes with the one-liners, with the zingers, she's always that girl. But it was the episode where we got to see her really have weight of her own emotions. And those emotions weren't tied to her children. They weren't tied to Randall. They were tied to her unique relationship with her father-in-law. It was that alone was just a brilliant sequence of events just to see her act. And when she gave that speech, oh my gosh, it just took my breath away. I really wish that the writers would really find ways to bring more of Beth and Toby, because I love Chris Sullivan, but I wish they would find ways to let them really shine even more, because they are powerhouses. It forces to be reckoned with. All right, the next is Jack Pearson's son. Again, do not come for me in the comments. These are not in order, but Jack Pearson's son was when we got Randall and his mental health breakdown, which was probably one of the first times I've ever seen in television where we get to see, Sterling K. Brown is always playing a vulnerable character, but we got the acknowledgement of mental health issues in the Black community and the fact that it's so taboo. And because we have a complex relationship with the health and the medical system, oftentimes these things go undiagnosed. And so you have the vulnerability of that, but then also because we've always seen kind of like this tumultuous relationship with Kevin and Randall, the fact that Kevin left his show to come and be with his brother and to be both of them Jack Pearson's sons, and he's taking on that role of his father comforting his brother, that was beautiful. Wish we could get more of that and less of the this, but it's family. It happens. All right, so next is Super Bowl Sunday. Y'all, that episode made me really believe that, like, Dan Fogelman was planning in advance, and he said, wait a second, we're going to start this show, and a year from now, if we're the biggest show, we're going to get a special Super Bowl Sunday episode, and we're going to craft it. So let's go ahead and make the storyline be around the Super Bowl, no matter what. And it felt like that because, come on, the symmetry of the fact that the Steelers are such a big presence in the show, and then to find out for them to write into the show that actually it was the day after the Super Bowl that Jack died because the fire started on Super Bowl Sunday. Like, how genius is that? Because some of my favorite shows have had really big Super Bowl episodes, like Grey's Anatomy and the, spoiler alert, the bomb episode when they were on Super Bowl Sunday. But just to tie it all in, it was just immaculate. It was, again, I love a good mystery. So we've gotten those touches of that throughout. And the fact that they did a lead-in for that for like 3 episodes before, where they forgot to buy, batteries for the smoke alarm. Like, so smart. I love smart writing and Easter eggs and storylines that interconnect. I love that. All right, the next episode is the wedding. And it's not too often that, for me, the kids get a chance to shine. They're cute. But the moment for the wedding, to me, that really made it stand out is Deja. That scene where, Toby's parents say to her how much she looks like Randall, and the trigger that has for her as this is not really her father, and it's triggering and it's upsetting. And it was so funny because in the comments online, people were just aghast at like, oh my gosh, how ungrateful this child is. She's going over here breaking, not realizing and not thinking about the collective trauma. And this is why, as a teacher, and for all my fellow educators who might come across this video, you have to be really careful about how you talk to children. You never really know what will trigger them. As someone who grew up with, a dad who is my stepdad, but he's my dad. Like, I understand what she was going through, because you kind of want that to be true, but it's not. And so it's very easy at times to fool yourself into forgetting that, like, you have this weird dynamic in your family. And so when someone basically like shoves it in your face and gives you that reminder, it's really devastating. It really made me think about all the times, of course, anytime Randall walked downstairs, he knew he didn't come from Jack and Rebecca, but like, you can kind of lull yourself into a false sense of reality. But when someone brings it to your attention, that's it. It's shattered, and it's just, that's all there is to it. And so that was just such a powerful scene, because we never really got to see Randall act out in that way. And so we got to see him as like the perfect picture of what like adoption looks like in one sense. And so Deja is the imperfect picture. There's going to be anger, and you're going to have to deal with it. Speaking of Beth, going back, our little island girl, Felicia Rashad, Carl Weathers. Like, you put Carl Weathers and Felicia Rashad in the episode, and you think I'm not going to stand? Like, I'm not going. And oh my gosh, I can't even remember the young lady's name who plays young Beth, but you would literally think like they were sisters, or that was her child in real life. Like, I have questions, like, for her to look that much. And they will somehow, like, y'all have watched, okay, let me slow down a bit. Tell me down below in the comments if y'all watched some of the teasers or the trailers or the like interview questions, and they talk about how well matched like the young actors are with their counterparts. And let's be honest. The Kates are all cute, but none of them look like Chrissy Metz. The one middle boy who plays Kevin, sometimes he can give you a Kevin feel to you, and you're like, oh yes, I see it there. But they're all charming children. I adore the little boy who plays Randall, but come on. Baby doll is like 5 shades lighter at least than Randall, right? And then the young man who plays the middle age, the teenage to young adult Randall, he's kind of closer in complexion, but height difference wise is like, dude, you were playing 20-year-old Randall and you had a growth spurt, okay? In real life, obviously, because there's just no way. But The baby who plays Beth. Oh my gosh, does she look like Beth? Does she look like Beth? Oh my gosh, she looks like Beth. And I will say her, and then the young lady who plays adult Tess, I would be asking questions. If I was their parents, I'd be like, well, who? But what? DNA? What? Dana? What is your... But that was just such a good episode, just to get Beth's backstory, just to see a black ballerina, just to see the dance. I mean, just every element of that episode was just so gorgeous. I wish... It's one of those episodes that because we got a chance to see Beth's family, you wish that you had gotten more opportunities and that the show had found a way to expand its universe a bit more, to give us those instances a bit more. Like, what if we had seen glimpses of Beth's family before, obviously we met Beth already, but like before we find out what happened to her dance career? I don't know how they could have done it, but like it was one of those episodes that made me wish we had gotten glimpses of it a bit more. All right, we're getting down to the end now, guys. The pool episode. Shout out to Michelle Bethay, who plays the mama at the pool, but is also Sterling K. Brown's wife in real life. This is the episode that was very necessary because it's the episode where we get to see Jack and Rebecca deal with the fact that they are raising a black child and that they have no clue that at that point they had not done any legwork to really raise a black child. And it was the reminder to all of the white parents who want to go out here and raise children of different ethnicities: do your homework before you raise them, please. Do not expect that just because you are growing them in this colorblind world where race is not a factor, that they're not going to feel disattached from their culture and that the world will not view them based off of their appearance. Because one, the world will view them based off their appearance, but two, they deserve to have access to their culture. And we don't have just one culture. We do have multiple cultures. You wouldn't ask someone who is Scottish to not listen to bagpipe. Okay, that's a bad example. It's so stereotypical, but you know what I'm saying. Like, so it was those things. And then there are just nuances of like, he was getting bumps on his neck because he wasn't getting a proper haircut. Like all of those things. It was just such a good episode. But it was an episode that made me not like Kevin's character even more. Like, I'm starting to feel bad for Kevin as this not real character who I know the writers are not serving well because he is such a little... so often he has moments of sweetness, but he is so often just so shady, and it makes me not like him. All right, next is Strangers Part 2, only because it was the episode in which the most information was kind of tied up to the future jump that we've been getting, where we find out that, you know, Kevin has twins. We find out that Jack and his wife Hope are having a kid, that he has a sister named Haley. That's even further in the future, if I'm not mistaken, than where we are in the actual moment of the Her story. So it means at some point in time we're going to get a teenage Jack, or we should at least get a teenage Jack. We see Nikki there. I mean, like, we get the most information from that, and so that's why I like it. But it's also the episode that gave us the climactic Kevin and Randall blow up explosion, and it's the thing that they have to come back from. We see throughout the show that everyone's getting healing from like Jack's death, healing from like all of their past traumas. That is something that they are going to have to deal with, and hopefully we will actually get to see them deal with that soon. Problem is, where do we go once they've dealt with that? Once they've dealt with that, because everyone's pretty much at this point should have come to terms with Jack's death. They've all had their little moments where they should have not, you don't ever get over it, but come on, like, they've had your moments. That is the thing that's lingering that has to be fixed. And then finally, the trip. I had almost forgotten about this one, and I was trying to struggle to remember what episode it was. And this is the episode that gave us that tear-jerking scene where Rebecca and Jack take Randall to the dojo to be to have karate lessons, and it's the all-black dojo, and he does the push-ups with him on his back, and it's so cute and sweet. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wish I had those kind of experiences. It's just so sweet and was so touching, and I was just crying. And she writes that letter, and then Randall confronts her about not telling him for 36 years about his dad. Oh my gosh, that was just such a good episode, such a well-written episode, such a beautiful episode. So that is it, though. Those are in my top 10. So Pilot, Memphis, What Now, Jack Pearson's Son, Super Bowl Sunday, The Wedding, Our Little Island Girl, The Pool, Strangers Part 2, and The Trip. Those are my top 10 This Is Us episodes. Those are the ones that I would probably put them in order and say, if you had to rewatch the show, but you didn't have time to rewatch the show, watch these 10 episodes and you will understand the show, and you will get some of the best acting and best moments out of the show. You need a box of Kleenex for each one of these episodes. They were so good. So I think next week I'm going to drop a either a best and a worst list. So let me know what you want to see next week. Would you rather see a best and a worst where I discuss the best things about each character, or the best character moments and the worst character moments? Or would you rather see my list of worst This Is Us episodes? I feel like y'all gonna be messy, but we're gonna see how this goes. So let me know down below in the comments if you want to see best and worst of each character, or my top 10 worst episodes of This Is Us. Let me know down below in the comments what you would prefer to see. So guys, just a reminder, no new This Is Us until February 2nd. And while we just wait for finding out what's going on with Kevin, I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope you guys are just having a good time taking care of yourselves. Do me a favor, if you liked this video and you want to see more This Is Us content, please, please, please hit subscribe. We are like 9 people away from 100, and that is just such a big milestone. I thank you guys so much for going on this journey with me. Love you a bunch. Until next time, toodles.